This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
World Bank presents Inclusive Growth Memorandum. 8 NCD Provincial Health Authority offices suspended. And World Population Day observed today. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. World Bank presented its country economic memorandum today titled Pathways to Faster and More Inclusive Growth. This focuses on long-term development, outlining the challenges PNG faces to achieve sufficient economic growth, to expand the incomes of its rapidly growing population, and what is required for PNG to make the transition to a higher, more stable and more inclusive growth path.
According to the presentation of the memorandum by senior country economist for PNG World Bank, Ruslan Pion-Kivinsky, the economy of PNG is held back by 3 challenges. These are excessive macroeconomic volatility, low productivity growth, and excessive reliance on natural capital and not enough on human capital.
Why should we focus on faster and more inclusive growth? And the reason is very simple, and actually Steve has already mentioned it, because the growth in PNG over the last 4 decades has been very low.
He highlighted the 3 pathways to inclusive growth for the country.
The first is excessive macroeconomic volatility and high risk of debt distress. And the way out of it is to seek macroeconomic stability. We'll talk about it later. The second is a low productivity growth, low broad-based productivity growth. Not a particular sector, not just a resource, not just mining, but the whole of the economy. And the way out is to boost broad-based productivity. And the second is excessive reliance on natural capital, on natural resources, and not enough reliance on other resources, in particular on human capital. So the way out is to expand human capital endowments, because that's what is driving long-term growth in all the countries. That's what our experience and our analysis of the individual countries in the global economy shows.
Meanwhile, Stephen Dagwa, country director of PNG World Bank, outlined how the government's medium-term development plan relates to the economic memorandum.
This country economic memorandum that provides the analysis helps you understand what are some of the things that can be done to achieve the goals of the MTDP. But also PNG has opportunity and means from some of the actions the government is already taking. The budget repair that the Treasurer has been talking about for several months, and that's underway. The IMF program that the government has signed up with that will help put in reforms but also support the budget. And also some of the governance actions that the government is already taking, such as the recent appointment of the independent commissioners of the Anti-Corruption Authority.
Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
8 more officers working with the National Capital District Provincial Health Authority were suspended from duties as of yesterday afternoon, following fraudulent payments made to them without approval from the management.
The CEO for NCD-PHA, Dr. Stephen Yenny, confirmed today that the 8 officers were suspended as of yesterday afternoon pending investigation outcomes. He said police investigation will start off this week, and if the officers are found to be guilty, NCD-PHA will deal with them administratively. According to CEO Dr. Yenny, the 8 officers were paid on claimed overtime payments.
So the 8 staff will be given a suspension notice this afternoon so that we can investigate them as well. And as far as the office of the CEO is concerned, I have not approved these payments to the offline citizens, so that's deemed illegal.
Upon being briefed of these unauthorized payments through NCD-PHA threshold report and payslips for Pay 13 2023, the CEO's office has taken measures to deal with officers directly or indirectly involved in this unprecedented government payroll fraud.
We took an immediate measures to suspend the human resource manager as a responsible officer for allowing this unauthorized payment to be done to the other officers as well.
Dr. Yenny condemned the action of the officers. He urged all government offices and departments to monitor well their payroll systems.
Not only for us, the NCD Health Authority, but all the government agencies to make sure that we monitor the government payroll regularly to be able to identify those fraudulent activities. Yeah. People who have been doing these tips, they knew exactly the kind of systems, how to corrupt the government system to enrich themselves.
Payments of public service salaries for NCD-PHA staff are paid out of Alesco payroll systems at the Department of Personnel Management and the Department of Finance Information Technology Department. CEO Dr. Yenny said NCD-PHA has only been around for 3 years and is in the process of properly setting up its systems, which includes the Integrated Finance Management System and Alesco payroll systems. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea joins the global world today to commemorate World Population Day, which is observed annually on the 11th of July. The United Nations Population Fund for Asia and Pacific calls for collective effort to ensure gender equality and women empowerment.
The theme for this year's World Population Day is Unleashing the Power of Gender Equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. According to the United Nations, the day is commemorated to raise awareness and educate individuals about the challenges and consequences associated with global population growth. The UN finds that most often women and girls are left with no choice to decide on reproductive choice. UNFPA in Asia and Pacific have seen these as challenges for women in the region and is pushing for more awareness for women to be free to have reproductive choices. The World Population Day was established back in 1989 by the United Nations Development Programme's Governing Council and is observed globally, including Papua New Guinea. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Hirikoyari District has received around 4 million Kina Development Levy appropriation budget for 2023 by Central Provincial Government. As a newly split electorate, there is a whole host of projects the local MP Keith Iduhu wants to get underway and was grateful for the PNG LNG Development Levy. In presenting the check, Central Governor Rufina Pita stated that the Hirikoyari District is new, so it is imperative that as a government, the district needs to be supported to establish itself and function. Governor Pita also called on the national government to look at the appropriation for the new districts in the 2023 budget and start releasing the funds to the new districts. She said the provincial government is now taking the lead and giving the district the appropriation to take care of its constituents. Papua New Guinea's first biosecurity bill final consultative workshop is currently underway in Lae and will be run for 3 days, which is from the 11th to the 13th of July. The workshop is aimed at collecting views from stakeholders, partners, government departments and others on the draft Biosecurity Bill 2023.
headed by the National Agriculture Quarantine Inspection Authority, or NAQIA. The final consultative workshop will lead to the final bill, which will be presented to the Parliament to be entitled as an act by this year. NAQIA Managing Director Joel Alu says they delivered the biosecurity policy last year, and one of the recommendations is to deliver a biosecurity bill, which was done this year.
Bill is crafted from the policy document that we have. The policy document is a biosecurity policy 2022-2032. It's a 10-year policy document. And from there we have crafted this biosecurity bill with the assistance of many stakeholders, including the Australian government.
Mr. Alu says Papua New Guinea and the Pacific Islands wanted to form a bloc through the enactment of biosecurity legislations. Other Pacific Island countries have biosecurity legislations, and this is the first for PNG.
Being as a member of the United Nations, Papua New Guinea and the Pacific Island nations must form a bloc through this enactment of this biosecurity legislation. We have biosecurity this type of bills in Solomon Islands, in Vanuatu, in Fiji, but PNG, we don't have it.
He says in terms of exporting agricultural products and livestock, PNG will not be able to export these products if we have pests and diseases in this country. And this bill will address all these issues.
The world revolves around biosecurity for trade, nothing else. And if you don't have a certification, or if your products cannot be certified by the biosecurity authority, it cannot reach a world market. So it's all about that.
Alu adds that the African swine flu, coffee berry borer, and other pest and animal diseases are present in the country. He says these diseases will easily pass through PNG borders, like the land border at Vanimo, which diseases can easily pass from Indonesia.
So whatever is on that side of the world, because in Asia there's a lot of diseases, which we don't have them in here. So this type of biosecurity, when we need to maintain our trade, we need to certify, we need to continue to surveillance monitoring, and NAQIA will have the power to confiscate, detain, retain, and fine people that illegally do trade with this bill.
He says most of the animal and plant diseases are already in the country, and NAQIA is doing everything possible to contain them. Alu says with the draft bill now, government support through budgetary allocations to NAQIA is important, as it will help them to successfully carry out and implement the bill. Amanda Elaitia, National EMTV News.
Enga Province is hosting the 32nd Senior Education Officers Conference in Wabeg. The launching of the program was done yesterday at Wabeg Primary School.
Students and staff from schools around Wabeg town gathered for the occasion. Governor for Enga Province, Peter Ipatas, with Provincial Administrator Sandy Saka, were on the ground on Sunday at Wapen Amanda Airport to receive Education Minister Jimmy Uguro, Secretary Dr. Uke Kombra, along with senior representatives of Teaching Service Commission and the National Library and Archives. Provincial education advisors from all the provinces in the country are in Wabeg for the week-long conference, which is to improve the quality of education in the country. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas also thanked Higher Education, Science and Technology Minister Don Pollier for being present for the important occasion. According to the Education Secretary, Dr. Uke Kombra, Enga Province was the first in the country to have the Provincial Governor and Provincial Executive Council taking lead in hosting and leading the organization of the conference. Meanwhile, Education Minister Jimmy Uguro officially announced the elevation of Koppen Secondary School to Miok School of Excellence with a funding support of 3.3 million kina, while presenting the code number to Governor Ipatas. The Education Minister also launched the Enga Provincial Education Plan for the next 5 years. Meanwhile, the week-long conference is taking place at Enga Teachers College, and locals are asked to take care of the 200-plus visitors. Amanda Elaitia, National EMTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. 3 men from Tari, Hela Province are now in police custody after they were smuggling marijuana into Western Province on Sunday this week. The community members at Gasuke village in North Fly district alerted the police and the men were apprehended at the ramp site along the Fly River.
Western Provincial Police Commander for North Fly Command, Chief Inspector Oena Afeke, says such act is not good and must be stopped. He told MTV News today on the route suspects took to smuggle the drugs into the province.
People from Tari to Honenabi, that's in Nomad, walk down to Strickland, across Strickland, to Debepari, and then to Gasuke. That's where they came overnight.
The police officers in Kiunga apprehended the man and took the 3 bags of drug weighing 22 kilograms. Police says the expected amount, if sold on the street, value around 50,000 kina. Inspector Afeke is appealing to the communities in Western Province to work together to address such issues.
Collaborated effort with the community, with the leaders, where we can work together in order to make sure that we discourage the market, the demand, which is our young people, the age group, they are involved in drug abuse, that the suppliers continue to supply. So if we can identify this area and put in place, raise up security, and only then we can able to contain the drug coming into the province.
He has commended his officers for the great job done to ensuring public safety is maintained in North Fly district and Western Province as a whole. Cynthia Maku, National MTV News.
An eviction took place, affecting hundreds of people with 24 houses left deserted at Section 81, Lot 26, Matiroko at Konibada in the Mosby South electorate today. People were left homeless as they watched excavators clearing the roadside with police on ground to conduct the eviction. Hundreds of people stood helpless on the roadside with their household items and personal belongings as the eviction exercise was conducted this morning. Police conducted eviction based on a national court order dated on the 9th of August 2010, where the land was legally occupied by local company Decision 2000 Limited. An eviction notice was served on the 8th of May 2023, asking the settlers to vacate the land. Today, police have taken full force to evict the settlers. Community Representative Aaron Jomis took the time to represent his community to air out his grievance.
Just this morning, Tamil Masin all want him to come. Me blaring him lawyer blousing to come down so that. We don't have a document from them coming to us law. Koto rao, want him can something, what's the latest? No God won't something will save him lo me blah.
Longtime resident Dorika Uday, who has lived there almost all her life, expressed her utmost concern.
But we are just waking up, trying to have breakfast, sending children to school. We are getting ready for weekend. Here comes Dosa. We are trying to have a word with PPC or whatever his position is, Fred Tondo. He doesn't want to talk, like stop and talk to the people and address us. We are human beings just like him. And for the police force to come in like this, on your own people. If you look at our machines operating and digging down our homes and our properties right now, they are Indonesians, they are expatriates. How the hell do you expect a Papua New Guinean to let a expatriate come and demolish a Papua New Guinean home? Baiklah sit down and look na, baiklah make one. We can fight for ourselves. We can protect Papua New Guineans. So what do we have the force there for, the military there for, the police there for? Why do we have the justice system? Or even the member there? These are Indonesians, I guess, they're operating the machines and bulldozing the property down. Some of us, we have worth thousands of goods there. We've been near 1968 to now, 2023. I'm long time to mass. My mother passed on, my father is still alive. My father has been hesitant to leave the house. This has become how many generations and we are here.
Although the settlers have tried to seek assistance from the National Housing Commission, they are still finding a place to stay and have appealed to the relevant authorities to assist them when need be. The citizens of Morata are raising their concerns regarding the eviction underway to construct a new 4-lane Sir William Skate Highway. They are calling on the NCD Governor Powers Pakop and the responsible authorities to give them ample time to move out and not through forced eviction.
More than 1,000 people living in the area in Morota are said to be evicted. Representing the citizens there, Chairman Daniel Marks said they were issued an eviction notice and students and other employees of organizations will be affected if the eviction begins.
Hear our silent majority voice because these are our kids and they live around here in Morota. We will need time to go take them to Togarra, Gerau, New Erima. They are already students there. Children are schooling. There's no space for our kids. Where will we take the kids to?
Mr. Mark said they are not going against the governor's decision to bring in development, but ask for time to move out. They are requesting for a dialogue with NCD Governor and other responsible authorities regarding the matter before eviction can take place.
And we welcome the project, but we humbly ask our governor to stay the project, give us time for us to resettle ourselves, or he has a plan to resettle. He has to resettle us first before he bring the project in. That's our main concern now.
Today, residents in Morata obtained a stay order from Waigani Court House, stopping further eviction. They are planning to bring their petition to the governor this week. In the meantime, NCD Governor Powers Pakop is yet to respond to the matter. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Paradise Foods Limited is a proud silver sponsor of the 2023 National Mask and Warwagira Festival, which will be held on Wednesday the 12th to Sunday the 16th of July 2023 in Kokopo, East New Britain Province. Paradise Foods committed to cash sponsorship alongside with a generous contribution of 150 cartons of assorted products to the show. The sponsorship is in line with the company's mission of feeding the people of the nation with trusted, affordable and nutritious products. Paradise Foods Regional Field Manager Richmond Soina said that Paradise Foods is delighted to be associated with the National Mask and Warwagira Festival Committee in hosting this event for the community to participate in. Mr. Soina further added that this strengthens the work of the company in communities through such activities as a homegrown company pushing above its weight. The participation and sponsorship of the event reassures the people of Kokopo that through the company's involvement in events such as the National Mask and Warwagira Show, Paradise Foods Limited continues to look for opportunities and ways to give back to communities throughout the country. 33-year-old Benjamin Petrus drives away with a new Ford Ranger after spending 6 kina in a Pepsi promotion. Today, Pepsi's Managing Director, Management and staff presented the key to the winner of Southern Region in Port Moresby.
A father of three, Benjamin Petrus, took his family today to Pacific Industries headquarters in Port Moresby to claim his vehicle. An excited Benjamin explained how he won the promotion of Buy 2 Pepsi and Win.
We be looking on running promotion, so I think we only participate one time. So one time we buy Pribla Pepsi, lost stop and so they drove him entry now. One bar receipt, but me lose lead, but somehow me all picking name to me, so me how much.
Pacific Industries Managing Director presented the key of the new Ford Ranger to Benjamin, which was witnessed by staff and the media. Benjamin said that he will use the car for family runs and excitedly thanked Pacific Industries.
Because it was always my dream to own a wild track or Ford Ranger, one of the Ford Rangers. So Pacific Industries make it possible for me to own that. Yeah. And big thanks to the Pacific Industry as well for running the campaign. I think it was run in the most fair manner.
Meanwhile, the draw for the Momase region was done yesterday in Lae. For the Highlands region, the draw will also be done today in Mount Hagen, and the NGI region will be done tomorrow in Kokopo. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the Nest Fund market report. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.2800 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yokina was buying $0.2725 US, $0.4052 Australian dollars, $0.2400 euro, 38.12 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher. Coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copper closed higher, palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News, and moving to overseas news now, and Ukrainian soldiers on the front line of the Russia-Ukrainian war have urged NATO to invite Ukraine to join the military alliance.
Ukraine's foreign minister says NATO has decided to drop a requirement for his country to follow a membership action plan, which will potentially shorten the path to membership. Member nations are cautious about letting Ukraine join, partly because of fears it could provoke a direct conflict with Russia. But those serving say the Russia threat will remain even if the war ends.
When we have such a miserable neighbour, then we need to join some kind of alliance, join the civilised world, to have serious support and serious partners. I hope this will be the last war in Ukraine, that we finally win and put a full stop to this 300-year-long war, that there will be no more war.
A senior spokesman for the Russian government says Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin and his commanders met President Vladimir Putin roughly 2 weeks ago, just 5 days after their short-lived rebellion. The Russian Defence Ministry says Mr. Putin gave an assessment of Wagner's actions on the battlefield in Ukraine and of the revolt itself. The Wagner commanders pledged loyalty to the government during the meeting. Mr. Prigozhin has not commented on the talks and his fate remains unclear. The Russian leader branded Mr. Prigozhin a traitor as the revolt unfolded and vowed harsh punishment, although the criminal case against the mercenary chief was later dropped.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has confirmed that up to 100 crew and support personnel will be deployed to Europe for military and humanitarian assistance.
The Prime Minister has confirmed up to 100 crew and support personnel will be deployed to Europe. They'll be part of the team controlling an Australian surveillance plane that will help protect a logistics hub that helps channel military and humanitarian assistance into the war-torn country. Anthony Albanese has also signed up to a global alliance known as the Climate Club. He'll now attend the NATO summit in Lithuania. Europe correspondent Steve Kinane reports from Berlin.
What he announced was that Australia would be deploying a surveillance plane that would only fly in European airspace, but it would help protect aid moving in those corridors into Ukraine. Here's what the Prime Minister said at that media conference today.
This aircraft will help to protect the multinational logistics hubs that are essential to the flow of military and humanitarian assistance to the people of Ukraine. This deployment includes up to 100 crew and support personnel from Australia.
Residents along Sydney's northern beaches have been urged to protect themselves from hazardous fumes after a warehouse caught fire last night.
Smoke and that thick, toxic, acrid smell still very much lingers here in the air this morning at Brookvale and Sydney's northern beaches. If you take a look behind me, that's really all that's left of the industrial estate that was engulfed by flames last night just after 6 p.m. We can see fire and rescue still continuing to work to continue to keep that blaze under control. It is currently smouldering. We've been told by police that will continue to smoulder for quite some days to come. Now, as you can probably see, there are still little bits of empty buildings and parts of the industrial estate, which we've since been told is a tyre and mechanical workshop. And many residents and locals around here say that mechanical workshop had lots of accelerant inside, including rubber, tyres, as well as fuel loads, which is why that flame engulfed so quickly. It took hold of nearly 3 units of this industrial estate yesterday, and it took nearly 60 firefighters and more than 16 fire trucks to keep that blaze under control, working through the night for a good 5 hours before it was completely under control as well. Now, we've since heard from one resident, a local business owner, who is one of the owners just nearby in this residential area, and he says that the concern here is for those owners of this building. He says they would be particularly devastated over the loss.
They're taking it pretty hard. I know one of the guys is quite upset. The owner would be trying to think about what the next plan is for the future. It could take him a year to recover.
More than 3 years ago, a volcanic eruption in New Zealand's Whakaari White Island killed 22 people. Today, a court trial is underway for several organizations accused of health and safety.
On Friday, we had those 3 guilty pleas from the helicopter companies, and the judge ruled on Monday that it would be delayed just because he wanted WorkSafe to amend its case. Keep in mind, there were 13 parties and organisations charged. Now there is just 6, so WorkSafe had to work quickly to amend its case, and then the trial will start today. Yesterday we had a whakatau, which is a bit like a pōwhiri here in New Zealand. It's a welcome of sorts where there was singing and there was a few speeches before court was adjourned, but it will start today. We just received a witness list yesterday. It had about 10 witnesses on it. We understand some US visitors will give evidence initially. In terms of family coming here, we understand there are still families in the US and of course in Australia as well. But this is going to be a big, significant trial, as you've alluded to in your introduction there. There will be streaming set up here in Whakatane, a bit like a public gallery of sorts, and then in Auckland as well. And of course that will be broadcast all over the world, so there will be streaming set up for visitors or people who visited Whakatane in 2019 so that they can keep across developments in the trial. With just 6 defendants facing trial now, you could imagine it might be slightly reduced, although there's going to be a number of expert witnesses who will be called, and of course the other witnesses who will be giving evidence as well. So set down for 16 weeks, it might be a little bit shorter than that.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
To Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. And Anga Provincial Government Miox defeated Hagen Eagles 34 points to 18 at Ipos Oval in Wabeg Town over the weekend. This is the 13th straight win for Miox in the competition. Finals will see Miox get into crisscross matches with the bottom three teams in Pool B. Anga Provincial Governor Sepita Ipatas congratulated Miox for winning the match in front of a packed crowd. And moving to overseas news in AFL, the Gold Coast Suns have confirmed they have sacked head coach Stuart Dew after 6 years in the role.
As you say, this was Stuart Dew's 6th year at the Gold Coast Suns. He is contracted until the end of 2024, but some recent heavy losses to Carlton and Collingwood have been fueling speculation about his future with the club. It was only last week that the Suns CEO came out and backed Stuart Dew into his senior coaching role, but it would seem that a 33-point loss to Port Adelaide at the weekend has changed the minds of decision makers here at the Suns. We understand the playing group was called together at about 9 o'clock this morning and told that Stuart Dew had parted ways with the club. We also understand that Stephen King, who coached the midfield playing group under Stuart Dew, will step into the interim coaching role.
And so what happens for the club from here?
We are expecting an announcement or a press conference from the Gold Coast Suns at about 11:30 this morning. For the playing group, for the team, they face a pretty uncertain road into the finals. This is a football club that has never made an AFL finals period. So this year looked like the year that they could do it, but they are still outside the top 8. Whether they can do it in the remaining games left of this season is what exactly remains to be seen.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Still on overseas sports news now, and in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz has defeated Matteo Berrettini to advance through to the quarterfinals at Wimbledon.
After dropping the first set, he stormed home to win the match in 4 sets, which sets him up for a big clash against Holger Rune of Denmark. American Christopher Eubanks has stunned 5th-seeded Greek Stefanos Tsitsipas in 5 sets. Some big hitting saw him take the biggest win of his career as his friend and occasional mixed doubles partner Coco Gauff washed on. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic defeated Hubert Hurkacz in a rain-affected match, dropping the first set of the tournament. Final score there, 7-6, 7-6, 5-7, 6-4. Whilst on the women's side of the draw, 16-year-old Russian qualifier Mira Andreeva went down to 25th-seeded American Madison Keys, 3-6, 7-6, 6-2.
In cricket, Australian captain Pat Cummins has insisted that all options are open as he refuses to rule out dropping David Warner as the 4th test draws near.
Left-handed opener Warner signalled that he wanted to retire from international duty against Pakistan at his Sydney home ground next year, but he may not be afforded that luxury and the luxury that so many sports people want, and that is going out on their own terms. That's because he had another double failure against long-standing English nemesis Stuart Broad during Australia's 3-wicket defeat in the 3rd Ashes Test at Headingley. Mitchell Marsh, pictured on screen celebrating 100 there, came into the side replacing the injured Cam Green, so it's really, really hard to see him being dropped. Cam Green is fit now. Looks like he will come back into the side, so the big question is what happens with David Warner.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports. This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, Port Moresby City, partly cloudy with possible inland showers or drizzles. Daru, squally showers and windy. Kerema, cloudy periods with evening showers, drizzles and possible thunderstorms. Alatau, few showers and possible thunderstorms, then partly cloudy. Popondetta, few showers and possible thunderstorms, then partly cloudy. In the Momase region, Lay City, cloudy with frequent rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Tonight, Medeng, evening rain showers and possible thunderstorms, then cloudy. Wewak, few showers and thunderstorms. Vanimo, rain showers and possible thunderstorms, then cloudy. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, cloudy with occasional rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Kavieng, cloudy with occasional rain showers and possible thunderstorms. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy with few evening showers and possible thunderstorms. Kimbe, cloudy with possible evening showers and thunderstorms. Buka, cloudy with occasional showers and thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Gurkha and Kundiawa, cloudy with evening showers, drizzles and possible thunderstorms. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy with evening rain showers, drizzles and possible thunderstorms. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island to Port Moresby to Hood Point to Samurai Islands, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to eastern and western Milne Bay Islands to Cape Vogel, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters north of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf to Finchafen, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Finchafen through VTS Dampier Straits to CSC Long Islands to Karkar Manam Islands to Bogia, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters of Bogia to Wewak to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters of New Britain to New Ireland to Bougainville, seas 2 to 3 meters. Coral Sea, seas rough to very rough with high seas, southeast winds of 30 to 48 knots. Solomon Sea, seas rough, southeast winds of 25 to 33 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rough, patches rough over southern sector, southeast winds of 30 to 33 knots. Pacific Ocean, seas light to moderate, east to southeast winds of 10 to 20 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, the 11th of July, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.